You're listening to the M.A.V show, episode number 14, Whirlwind of Emotions. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the M.A.V show.
Welcome back, people. Welcome back to M.A.V show.
Welcome back, where we talk about manga, anime, and video games. I'm your host, King Bonte, KV for show.
I am your co-host, Little Brother.
Little brother, how you doing, little brother?
Tired? This week has been up and down, not gonna lie.
Up and down?
Yo, so the gyms keep closing and opening again. COVID stops apparently Subway's ingredients shop, so I can't get my Swiss cheese or my flatbread. I can't get my stupid chicken nuggets from Burger King.
You mess with chicken nuggets?
Not really. I wanted to go get Thai chili at first, and they somehow accidentally mixed up my order. It went to a different location. I was on lunch at work, so I couldn't go get it within the time frame. Ooh. I had to go to Burger King. I had 2 crispy chicken sandwiches and a 10-piece chicken nugget. They shorted me 2 nuggets. They gave me one of my chicken crispy sandwiches spicy. I was upset.
Dang. Do you need a hug?
No.
You need a hug?
No.
Do you need a hug?
I need my orders to be right.
Why don't you just take the food back up there?
Because that's doing entirely way too much.
Obviously, you didn't want it right. It's going the extra step to have them make your food correct.
I mean,
as long as you're polite about it, and I think that's the biggest part. Hey,
right.
This is not what this is not what I ordered you guys. I'm not asking for anything much more. Can you just please?
I'm asking you to get it right the first time. Sorry, y'all. I'm just antsy, I guess.
What else has been going on, little brother?
Nothing much. Just chilling for the most part. The new Apex season ramped up again, so we unfortunately did not hit platinum.
Yeah, we were really trying to gun for some higher rankings in Apex season. We didn't dedicate ourselves to it.
Well, it's not the fact that we don't dedicate ourselves to it. It's the fact that we got other stuff going on, so we can't dedicate maybe a day or 2 of just straight Apex gameplay.
Yeah, and the crazy part is, guys, me and my little brother's schedules are really reversed. So when he's going into work, I'm going to sleep, or I'm getting off of work, because I go into work around 12 in the morning, and he gets off at 12 in the morning.
That's no fun.
Yeah. So our schedules are really reversed. We really don't see each other, hear from each other Monday through Friday, except for between the hours of 1 and 4 in the morning. And then, that's just us hitting each other up, maybe sending some memes or other little different types of stuff and going from there.
How was your week, though?
My week has been very similar.
Yeah?
Very similar. Real quick over the weekend, I did enjoy eating lunch with you and Jerry. Shout out to our homeboy Jerry at Genghis Grill.
Yep. That
was fun. Had our first taste of Mongolian food. Well, me personally.
Yeah, I've had YC's, which is for us located out in Tempe, and then there's another one located out in somewhere far out by the Odyssey Aquarium.
Ooh, that's like North Scottsdale.
Yeah, Scottsdale. Yeah, that's where it's at.
Yeah, in our lovely state of Arizona, everybody. We are located in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah, come out and visit us with a hot desert where it's 100 degrees in the shade.
It really do be like that. It really does. But yeah, I enjoyed, Mongolian Grill with you guys, and then the next day took mom and grandma out, so that was also fun.
Nice.
I didn't really remember Chili's ever being good, and we went to Chili's, and the service was perfect. Like, our server was great, got like a $20 tip.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Food was fantastic. Like, I had no complaints about the food. I was like, wow, I would really come back here just even off the service.
That's nice. That's always nice when you get a good service. You know what? I'm gonna save that story for next time. I thought of something. I will let you know on it later. Sorry, guys. No story for you.
Must not be appropriate. But yeah, so after that, I started going through the same issues of you. So gyms being open right back up, so I'm going, back to Planet Fitness is the gym I choose to go to. I love it just because it's 24 hours. Going back to it, next thing you know, I just get an email and my notifications right before I get off of work. Due to state regulations, we are closing down your home gym. And I'm like,
Here's what really kills me. Like, if I'm being dead honest, it's the fact that it literally went, everything was starting to close down slowly. It closes, it opens up again, closes again for a week, opens up again for like 2-3 days, and then closes back down. It's like, guys, stop this whole, we're trying to make it to a point where it's working for everybody. If you're going to close everything, close it. If you're going to keep it open, stop giving this tug of war going on. It's very annoying to me.
I mean, right now, like I said, everybody's still so unsure. And, with this whole COVID process, just because, yes, we are in one of the hot states right now where COVID is definitely have a spike in cases and everything. And so this is where, we definitely have to be careful. But also, like I said, everybody kind of wants their life back. Everybody kind of wants to go about, what they used to be on. People want to go back to the gym. People want to go back eating out. People want to go back to having fun with their friends. People want to go back to doing daily or outside activities versus being stuck in the house.
Yeah, that's true. And I don't mean to sound insensitive when I talk about it too. It's just the fact that, like everybody says, like this is something that us as a worldwide nation have never even seen before. We've never gone through a pandemic that's shutting down businesses, and it's really frustrating for me, especially when I'm used to my everyday life because like KV said, I would get off at 1 a.m, so I'll go from work to the gym. I can't do that because they're trying to limit they closed my gym like at 10 o'clock now, or like 9, I think.
Ooh, and you're like barely 7 hours
in.
Got like 3 more hours before you get off.
And
I feel you.
I guess I could go when I first wake up, but that kind of also eliminates this. It's like a take and give situation, and it's just hard for me at the moment.
I definitely understand. Like I said, it's messing with your daily schedule, and like I said, it's something that we're all gonna have to fight through for quite a bit. Just until a lot of this either dies down or kind of until we get take control of the situation. So we all just gotta really just do our best right now. That's all we can do.
I'm just ready for this whole thing to be over with.
I feel you. All right, to switch a little things up a little bit in the anime world news right now. Reading on some things, and I found something that at first made me happy, then it made me immediately sad.
And that was?
I found out that Amazon was going to take on The Promised Neverland.
Okay.
And when I mean by like take on, I'm like, oh snap, okay, I see you, Amazon. I see y'all about to, about to up y'all ante on y'all anime category. And y'all about to take on The Promised Neverland. Either y'all about to increase the graphics, y'all about to put the whole season out because the manga just recently ended. I'm like, yo, this is about to be lit. Until I read the words, they're taking it on to try to make a live adaptation to it.
An adaptation of it.
And I'm just crushed. For everybody who knows, when Americans try to do a live adaptation of anything, we're gonna look at Netflix's adaptation of Death Note.
And we all know that was a huge success, right?
No, it was a total fail. Total fail. I understand the sarcasm, but I just want to come out and say it was a total failure. Somebody else wanted to try to put their own spin off on it. Somebody else wanted to try to give their own view of it. Yo, if you're gonna do a live adaptation, don't do that. Like, you really need to follow the anime. Like, that's all you need to do. That's all you really need to do.
I don't know why they kind of go with that whole. And I've seen like I'm trying to think of probably let's go with what do you call it? Avatar, The Last Airbender. He kind of went with the whole idea of I guess he heard of what Avatar was, and I say I'm just saying the director. I actually kind of forgot who the director was, but he kind of went with his own adaptation or what he thought what Avatar was about. And one of the bigger examples is probably because he called Aang and he read it in a different way. So through the whole movie, they kept calling him Ong.
Oh Lord.
And
this proves my point. Like, yo, if you're gonna take on the role of something, yo, like really study, like care about it, like really care about what you're doing. And it seems like sometimes I don't really feel like some of these directors or people who are taking on the role of these projects, like, give a crap.
I don't know.
Like, how you getting the main character's name wrong?
It's just weird because it's like, did you not? You just didn't even like watch a single episode about it.
Like you just didn't do no type of research, no homework, nothing.
From the beginning, it's Aang, and I could if they I don't care about like how to pronounce if in the anime or the cartoon, if you will, if they called him Ong through the whole thing and they just said that's how they pronounce it, okay, there's no problem with Ong, but they pronounce it Aang, so therefore it's Aang. Yeah. Call him Aang. Don't call him something that you felt like he should be called.
And the movie was a flop. There were some good parts of it because they did get a lot of the bending correct. I'll give you that.
I'm gonna challenge you on that one.
Some of the bending they really did.
There's a certain earth bending scene where you have 5 earthbenders to lift 1 boulder.
And
it doesn't take 5 earthbenders to lift 1 boulder. Toph lifted boulders upon boulders by herself.
And everybody was weaker and stronger, in a sense.
But it doesn't take 5. If it's a really enormous boulder, yeah, that's one thing. But it doesn't take 5 whole earthbenders to do a whole dance set just to lift 1 rock out of the ground.
Okay. I see your point. You're technically correct. But, hey, whatever. But I was just disappointed. But even back towards, like, the Death Note one, like just totally just went outside of it. Just between different, so like the storyline, you know, the main character, Light Yagami was supposed to be a smart individual, and he came kind of back out, and in the American version, he was some punk kid who turned psychopath. Light Yagami wasn't a psychopath. He was calm, calculating, and cold-hearted, you know. The other guy was just all about killing people indiscriminately, however.
I'm just saying, look at so, and mind you, I'm not the guru of Death Note, but from the first like scene, just on how he met. First of all, he didn't meet in the anime. He met Ryuk in his room, versus in the live adaptation, he met him at the school
in a classroom.
And when Light reacted to Ryuk, it was more of like a quick, oh my god, like he jumped back for a second, but he looked back up and quickly collected himself and started talking to him in like a cool, calm, collected manner. Versus the live adaptation, he's screaming his head off, screaming bloody murder. He's screaming for help, running around the classroom, hiding underneath the desk. Like, it was such a what am I watching?
It was a pitiful scene to watch.
And to me, it was like, what? That's another thing. If the director said, well, this is how I feel a normal student or a normal person or normal American would react, you don't get to assume or feel like this is how they would react, because they gave it to me. When you take stuff like that, it's the blueprint is right there. The anime tells you how this scene should go down. You don't even need to come up with anything. All you need to do is just say, hey guys, this is what it should look like. Go ahead and do it. And if I say you kind of got it right or kind of got it wrong, nah, it's not really how they reacted into the anime. Like, you got to kind of draw that from the anime and do it like that. But I don't know. I guess the American directors just feel like it's better if they do it in their way.
I mean, and you know what? Just for the sake of argument, if this is how they kind of wanted to do it in their own little special way, I understand. I'm not gonna argue with you, but like I didn't see your vision. I didn't understand how you wanted to go about it. I felt like from what I watched and fell in love with, you didn't capture any of that, and how you wanted to express how you seen the story, I just didn't connect with it.
It was all bad.
All bad.
And another like quick little just mentioned for more anime news, Naruto is finally coming to Funimation.
It's kind of weird though.
Okay, now if you don't understand what that kind of like means for Naruto, it just means that another company kind of like owns the rights to him. I guess the comparison would be Marvel and Studio and Sony and all that. Versus Sony owning Spider-Man to Marvel owning it. If Marvel owns Spider-Man, they can connect them to however many universes that they want to. They can give them all their money. They could do the most with it. Versus if he's owned by Sony, only Sony can do so much with Spider-Man.
Yeah. And real quick, one of the things that Funimation is really just known and really just says like they really do is just they just make they're like the middleman between Japan and like the US. They really just like, hey, your show is in Japanese. We can find American voice actors and put it in dubbed, English dub, and market it over there. That's really all they do. So I was kind of confused by this whole transaction.
But I guess it works out for the benefit of Naruto in the future.
Definitely does.
I think it's about that time.
It is. So, little brother, I have a question for you.
What's that?
Since you've already been on an emotional roller coaster for this week, what things have you seen or played has also put you in a state of constant emotional flux?
So I gotta keep going with this type of mood I'm feeling in right now?
Yes, you do.
Jesus Christ. So animes, if and this kind of like goes into like why people should kind of get into animes a little bit more now too, because it does the same thing what like live action movies do too. They can invoke feeling, they can draw your attention towards it and make you feel like you actually care about these animated characters. And I could have a whole list of just like different shows, what shows did said action, and I'm done.
You're done.
I'm just done with it all.
Why?
Because like I said, so can I go ahead and like, if you want, can we do honorable mentions right off the bat?
Why not?
So at least for my honorable mentions list, I have Death Parade. Death Parade was I think I recommended it about like 2-3 weeks ago. Death Parade was the one where they go to purgatory. They have the bartenders kind of send them up to do these trials and see who goes to heaven and hell. And it was so engaging. It was so heartfelt because you're caring for these people who are going to go to heaven or hell. You don't want to see that they're people. They're normal people who just ended up having to die, and you don't want to see them go to hell, but you want to see them go to heaven. But one has to go to hell and one has to go to heaven, the way that their system works up. And you just get all this feeling. You feel for the main character, what she's going through. You realize how troubling and hard her past was, that she doesn't really deserve what she's going through. And it's just so intense. Another one would be Clannad. I know so many people are just screaming off of that one.
Shout out to my homeboy, okay? I know you love Clannad, my guy, but this is it's an honorable mention, and yes, it's definitely up there because even I felt like a lot of emotional feelings coming towards the end and realizing a lot about that stuff. He never is scared to tell me about how he just bawled his eyes out, like he just couldn't stop crying. So
right.
Don't worry, man. Like I understand. I understand.
On the video game side, it'd be Shadow of the Colossus. I talked about that. I recommended that one time ago. Your normal traveler goes off and kills all these giants to save your one girlfriend, but at what cost?
What cost would you sacrifice the world for?
You can also go with something like Vinland Saga, which is one of the newer animes, and that's intense. It's in its own right. I won't even like really dive into that one because people within the first 3 episodes, almost the first episode, you're gonna be drawn into that anime.
Emotionally too, just because how you feel about certain things happening. Really.
Another one would be, I guess, Parasite. Its full name is Parasite the Maximum, but everybody just knows that's Parasite.
And you know what's crazy? I'm actually rewatching that right now.
Are you?
Yes, because I never really finished it,
Yo.
and it's kind of crazy because I had watched another anime, kind of came in and kind of took a spot for me to watch. Hey, we'll get in that in another couple episodes, but
that's
watching that right now.
Honestly, I have like two more up on the list, but one I'm not even really gonna dive into. The other one would be Garo. Garo, we actually kind of got like halfway through and never really finished.
Yeah, it started stagnating.
That one is more of an action. It's not really. I guess you could call it shonen, but it's more of an action based anime. I put it on the emotions list because there's like three kind of main characters who are in somewhat way or another related to each other, but they don't really act like it. It's a father, son, and their cousin, and the father and son relationship is rocky from the start. The son feels like his father didn't even care for him or their mother who has passed, or his mother, the dad's wife, and he just kind of like, I would say, disowns his dad to a certain extent. The cousins, this is like the first time that they're meeting. The cousin is like royalty, so he has no idea who his lower class cousin is, but he doesn't act like a jerk about it. He's just like, oh, I didn't know about you. Well, let's get to know each other. Let's be family. But the one son just has no time for it. He's on this set path to and that's another thing. What was their goal?
I don't even remember. That was about another. That was about like a year or two, like a year ago.
But it's very interesting. What it captivated us to this anime was all three of them have these legendary swords that give them legendary armor, which it's like a armor of wolf skin, I guess, or like just like armor that's in the shape of a wolf. And you have the gold wolf, the silver wolf, and the crimson wolf.
Crimson, wasn't there a burgundy one too?
A burgundy or crimson, and then there's like a black wolf who is evil. But it's a really pretty cool anime. It gets this emotion for me because, like I said, the relationship between the three is so rocky. You realize the father, he doesn't want this life for his son at all, but the way things happen, his wife was murdered, witch at the stake type of situation. And he hates that his son has to grow up living this life. The cousin goes through his own situation with his father dying and his mother, going through execution. What it's just watch it.
It was. I'm not gonna lie. Like starting off, like you really kind of get interested in it. But personally, from what I kind of remember, why I probably stopped watching it, it just stagnated.
Yeah.
Like it just started plateauing a little bit, and I was just like, I'll probably come back to this. So, some of my own personal honorable mentions I want to throw out there: Spirited Away.
Spirited Away. We all know that. We all know and love that.
Most definitely. Howl's Moving Castle. Definitely felt a lot of emotions with that one.
My personal favorite.
Princess Mononoke, my favorite anime movie of all time.
There was a list that I just talked. Okay, never mind. It was a certain list that got brought up. Princess Mononoke was definitely mentioned though.
The Witch's Flower, something my girl actually really likes, and said it actually got her really into wanting to watch anime with me after she's seen that one.
I don't think is this a movie or a show?
Yeah, movie. The Witch's Flower. I think it's on Netflix too. Really watch it. Very beautiful. Very, very beautiful and well done.
I gotta check it out.
What else is there? Oops, sorry, guys. I forgot to put something on silent.
Somebody's slacking.
I apologize. Let me see what else is out there. I cannot think of anything else that immediately comes to mind.
Well, let's just dive into what we came here for.
Because we about to dive in.
I don't think too many people are going to get that reference, actually.
Oh, well, it's good if you don't.
Just know that, it's R&B, people. What calls for new R&B these days. But you want to start it? You want to start it off, or shall I?
I think I started off last time. You want to go ahead?
Okay. So, mind you, again, these animes are just ones that just took us on the emotional ride, and we didn't want to like solely pull from like the popular Jiraiya death Ace's death. I'm sorry if I'm spoiling all this if you haven't seen them though. But we're not just focusing dead on about the sadness in animes or
We're trying to say, what things have we seen that like, and what things have we seen or played that really got an emotional response out of us.
Exactly. And I'll go first up on my list with the video game, and I've talked about this I think back in our first episode or our second episode. It is the newest Spider-Man that came out in 2019.
Real quick for everybody, just a small disclaimer. If you ever like watch us and wonder why we go from ground zero to episode 2, we really did record the first episode. Just to let you guys know, we really did record the first episode. It just never got saved, and instead of trying to re-record the first episode, we just went to the second one. Like, it was my personal opinion just to keep going, to keep the momentum going, because it was hard trying to get this off the ground, and it's just a choice we made. So please kind of forgive us, but it's what we chose to do.
It was already hard enough for us to like get it started for the first time, us being new to the podcasting world. So if you can consider it as a hidden episode, maybe one day when we get further into this, we might just have to record episode 1 all over again.
Re-record episode 1, yo. If we ever, don't worry, like, I think we'll make an event out of that. Re-recording episode 1 for everybody.
But we digress. I talked about the newest Spider-Man a little while back, and why I thought it was just an incredible game in itself. Why I thought Spider-Man, like this, out of all the Spider-Mans that they've done in the past, this one takes the cake. It not only had the funding for it to be like graphically appealing, the gameplay was just so phenomenal, so interactive. The story to it, it being its own original story. So yeah, you can it's the same Spider-Man Peter Parker story, but they actually rewritten it to a certain extent, being as he looked up to Otto Octavius before, but in this one he was his actual like teacher and mentor. They worked really close together.
The Marvel problem.
That there's a million universes.
Don't worry, we're gonna actually do maybe a side topic of this one day: comics versus anime, and which one do we think is better?
I'm probably sure we're gonna go with anime, but this one, he not only was his mentor, but it was the first legit time Otto Octavius started thinking about becoming a villain. He's Spider-Man himself. Peter Parker has already put away Electro, Vulture, Rhino. He's put away all these bad guys, so people know of his praise. They know that Spider-Man is the hero that saves everybody. But when it came to him having to fight his mentor and pretty much father figure at this point, it kind of took a turn. It kind of pushed him to the breaking point, and Spider-Man, Peter, he didn't know what to do. He had to eventually go against Otto, and if for you guys, it's Dr. Octavius. Yeah, I know that one. Or Doc Ock is more usable. But it just that whole ride, seeing how you saw Peter actually look up to somebody for the first time, and it to be torn apart. And then not only on top of that, but there was a villain named Mr. Negative, and he had released this poison that went into the whole city, affecting everybody, who could possibly just kill off everybody. Peter had to break in, defeat Doc Ock just to get the vaccine, and Peter came down with a choice. Spoiler warning ahead, of course. It was the choice of either giving Aunt May the vaccine because she ended up getting affected too, or giving the vaccine to everybody at once. And it was kind of like a situation where he can give it to her right now, save her life, or wait until they find spread it and make multiple vaccines to give to everybody. And it was crazy because it was one of those things where, video games usually let you make a decision sometimes. That one, you didn't get a decision, Aunt May dies. And if you know about Spider-Man.
And that kind of hurts because, like, me personally, I'm really close to my grandmother. I'm not sure I would have chosen the whole city versus my grandmother. Like, I'm not, and I understand the greater good, and I understand everything. But my grandmother's my best friend. Like, God could have came down and told me, like, hey, you guys are not blood related. I'm like, I don't care. I really don't care. There's no way I could sit there and still be considered sane. It is why I should let it die just to save the whole world, and half the whole world hates me. Couldn't do it.
And if you're not a Marvel superhero buff or superhero game player, think of it as if you like Last of Us. In Last of Us, Joel and Ellie, that big decision that they had to make, or no, Joel had to make himself. It was either that, make a cure for everyone, or let Ellie die.
Yeah, and so if I can kind of pick up from right here, that was one of mine.
Yeah, it's a great segue into it.
Hey, okay, I see little brother throwing a little segue in there for me. And so Last of Us was actually one of mine too that actually kind of broke out a really, really big emotional response. So even though like part 2 is out, and don't worry guys, I'm gonna grab the game. I'm gonna definitely bring a review to the podcast. Part 1, from the beginning, even before you really got into the gameplay, it made you want to break down and cry. And this shouldn't be no spoiler warning for a game that's like 7 years old now. Just seeing how his daughter died in the beginning was heartbreaking. Like from that point on, like you really understood like how emotional draining this game was kind of gonna be. Like there wasn't really like a lot of happy moments in this game versus moments that you're just relieved that you're alive or relieved that you got away from a certain situation. So there wasn't like a lot of hey ha smiles. You might have had you might have seen some good conversations between the two MCs, but other than that, oh my god. And the journey between Joel and Ellie really
Joel.
I apologize. I don't know where that came from. I totally apologize.
Joel.
Joel. Joel. I don't know where that came from.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful.
But like the whole thing between Joel and Ellie, just the whole dynamic, and you eventually kind of seen that he kind of takes on the role of a father with her. He definitely starts caring very deeply about her, which kind of fast forward even towards the end where you see that he had to make like a hard decision, and as a player you don't really get to really make the decision. There's just two separate endings. One where both endings are kind of really similar, of where he tells the truth. I mean, well, not the truth. He tells a point blank lie about what really happened at the end. Of because he didn't want to sacrifice her.
Right.
And so it's almost like the opposite of the Peter Parker situation, where he didn't want to sacrifice, once again his daughter, in a sense, to save everybody.
He looked at Ellie like basically, and he'd never like really put it out there too, because Joel was battling his whole loss of his daughter, but it's
a lot of inner demons.
Subconsciously, he replaced Ellie with his daughter.
And he really did. And so, like I said, this is why he point blank, lied to her about there not being a city of people or
a cure.
Yeah, they're not really needing you or her for a cure or anything.
Yeah, it was the fact that they tested on her, and they said Joel told Ellie that they tested on her and they couldn't do anything with her immunity. Her immunity meant nothing other than she was immune to the infection.
Exactly. And just from that point, man, like I said, he just really cared for her. And, shout out to him. I'm also
shout out to a real one.
Shout out to a real one. I'm really curious to see how part 2 goes. I'm really trying to try to keep myself from spoilers. I've seen some of my favorite YouTubers play it. I know you've definitely seen.
I've seen RDC World 1 with Leland and Ben playing through it. Shout out to RDC World 1 Gaming. I've seen Berleezy play it. Shout out to Berleezy. Berleezy's probably gotten the furthest with me. And I've seen Corey Kenshin play it. Corey Kenshin, please get back on that grind, man. Come on, we miss you.
Shout out to all of them. And from there, that game was really emotionally taxing, guys. Like for me personally,
Perfectly put.
it was just emotionally taxing. It took a lot out of me. It was very difficult to get through, but overall, I really, really did enjoy the game.
Last of Us Part 2, like I said, I've seen gameplay on it, and if you haven't played it, haven't seen it, it's worth it, dude. It is worth it.
2 is coming.
So,
it's coming soon.
So that was for me, Spider-Man, and that was for KV, Last of Us.
Wait, Joel,
apparently. Joel's long lost cousin.
twin brother. Yes, twin.
But
Screw his little brother, Tommy.
So let's jump into the anime aspect. Actually, I'm gonna keep the video game type of situation going on. You know, no. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go with My Neighbor Totoro.
I still never really seen that, and I remember you telling me bits and pieces about it, but I still don't know too much about it.
So, and it was so weird on why and how I watched My Neighbor Totoro. It was one day I was just chilling at home. I was on my day off. I had nothing to do, and it was in like the middle of the night too. I was like, "Yo, I'm gonna watch a movie, and why not a Studio Ghibli movie or Ghibli movie? Because Studio Ghibli always hits out of the park." I saw My Neighbor Totoro, and I knew it was an old school anime movie, but I don't know why. Someone just told me to watch it, and mind you, it was a long hour and like a half movie, almost like 2 hour movie. But I powered through it, and by the end of it, I was like, "Huh, that was nice. That was nice and fluffy." I mean, it has its dark moments. That's why it's on this list right now, because it's like a roller coaster.
So what was it about?
It was about this family having to move to like from the city to the kind of countryside because of a job situation, training, or the father having to move jobs. And they get to their new country house, but their mother is sick, so she's kind of like bedridden in the hospital. And so now the two youngest girls, which are our main protagonists, they have to get used to this new country life, try to make the best of what they got, but they're not really liking it in this situation. Time goes on. They start exploring the whole area. They go into this forest that's kind of like nearby, and they start just trying to make, like I said, make the best of what they got. They build like a little tree hut for it or something like that, and just use their imagination. One day they kind of get lost, and they're coming back home, and the older sister has to carry her sister because she's like starting to fall asleep, and they're at a bus stop, and this becomes like the most iconic My Totoro scene ever. They're waiting at the bus stop, and you notice that she looks up and she sees just this giant rabbit cat bunny thing just sitting right next to her with
Describe it one more time.
Giant rabbit cat bunny thing.
Giant rabbit cat bunny thing.
Day. But it like I said, it's the most anytime you look up My Neighbor Totoro, you'll see this picture. I don't know why it's so iconic, but it kind of just signifies like this was the first time that they saw Totoro. Totoro is, I guess you could call a forest spirit. I guess you can call an entity just of, in this situation, goodwill and good faith. And I'm gonna kind of like barrel it down to kind of the ending. So they kind of go through their problems. The younger sister gets a little bit upset because her mom is in the hospital, and they kind of hear she's not getting any better. So she kind of like runs away out of frustration, and the whole town loses their mind. They gotten to know this new family. They heard that the little girl's lost, so they go like on a manhunt looking for the little girl. And I'm not so sure if so many people know this, but I ended up looking up after this and all that. They found like a shoe in the lake nearby. Immediately, everybody assumes that she's drowned. Everybody's searching the pond looking for a body or anything. Later on, they finally found the sister. They bring her back to the house. They let her know, your mommy's getting better. You don't have to worry about it. She'll be out soon. And it kind of like wraps up. And the only reason why they were able to find her, because Totoro kind of helped out. The older sister asked Totoro to help with the whole situation. And he's not really like vocally active or something like that. He just kind of like just sits there, but he knew, so he helped out. They found the sister. It was just it was a really lighthearted, fluffy moment, and coming to the end of it. Mind you, that's why it's on the roller coaster part, because you're up there worried about the little sister, if she's dead, if she's not, where they're gonna find her, and it was because it's such a lighthearted with these kids.
But how can I say this? I'm not sure if it's because if I remember something different about it or something, but I kind of also want to say I don't know how to say this.
What are you trying to say?
I think it's a little bit too mean to say on the podcast.
Oh, that you don't care?
No, oh no! Like if a kid gets lost, of course, like we gotta send out all the dogs and everything to get the kid. I'm just trying to figure out like the whole forest spirit part.
Now, this is what I mean. Now, so let me like sew this piece into it. So I don't think too many people know, because for some reason, once again, I don't know why. Maybe God was talking to me and he's like sending me mental messages on what to do right now. Because for some reason, something told me like, what's a Totoro? I look up on Google. A Totoro apparently is a spirit of death. It is signifying when you see a Totoro, it is signifying that someone you, someone you know, or somebody around you will die soon, and they are there to collect the spirit.
See, this is what I really remember. Yeah, see, this is where I got confused at. I'm like, this is what I really, really remember about what you told me about Totoro. So I'm thinking one of these, like somebody in the show had died or something. Either it was the mom or one of the little girls, and his spirit was there to collect one of their souls. So this is where I'm like, wait, what happened? Like one of the little girls came back?
And see, this is where the underlying story comes in, that when they found that shoe in the water, it was actually signifying that a little girl did drown in that water.
Oh, wow.
I'm not so sure if a lot of people know, because I listened to another podcast, Anime Out of Context. Shout out to them. They watched it, and I think they just kind of got the fluffy side of it. I know they do their research and all that. Sean Rollins, I think his name is. He does pretty good research on his part too. He's a big anime fan, and he likes Studio Ghibli, of course. But I don't know why. Something told me to just go in depth with My Neighbor Totoro, and it's a darker story than a lot of people know about.
Wow. And see, this is what would get me a lot more interest in it. Just the dark underlying tone of it, because it's not just like you're just seeing like this little girl's rescue, but you're not really understanding what Totoro really is and what he's really there for. So of course he's, being nice maybe to these two little girls, but he's like, yo, like my real mission is because I'm here to grab this little girl's spirit.
Exactly.
I'm saving yours, but I'm really here for A. And so, wow. But it does sound like a good movie though. I think it might be something I might go back and watch.
It is intense. Like I said, if you want to show your kids that, it's okay too, because it's a lighthearted, like I said, anime on the surface. But and like I said, I pulled up a picture of it. If you seeing stuff like this is the real story. And what a picture I'm pulling up, and you can look it up on Google. If you look up My Totoro Real Story, it's a you know what? Maybe they don't want to watch this.
This looks really, really creepy. I'm a little scared.
Totoro's
this type of thing you would have nightmares about.
Totoro's a nice, fluffy, hearted character, so maybe they don't want to see this, it being ruining what they all think about Totoro, because you could basically make this a creepypasta.
You can make this really dark. So what was Totoro in the actual anime?
He was like this. Like I said, they don't actually give him a name or like what he is. They kind of just give him this like fluffy bunny looking cat form.
I mean, I see what you mean. Okay, and then I see like this really creepy, demonic, nightmare having thing that you like. When there's a monster behind you, and you're just like, "Yep, I'm not turning around. I'm not turning around. I'm not turning around. I'm not turning around." It's that, and this right here, I'd be like, "Wow."
So like I said, if you guys like really want to like get deep into Totoro. I don't know what made me look up the whole underlying story of it, but I'm glad I did because I found out some interesting stuff. Go look up, just type in Google, My Neighbor Totoro real story, or just like real meaning or whatever. But yeah, that's kind of it for me.
All right. I kind of want to switch back to the video game side a little bit.
Okay.
To give like my favorite video game and why it was so emotional to me. And so I'm easily talking about Final Fantasy X. Not 10-2, but 10.
Nah. If you've heard from our show, previous episodes, you'll know that we have like our own favorite animes and such, and our favorite video game for the both of us is Final Fantasy X. I was going to say 15.
Shout out to 15, but not my favorite. So 10 by far. I personally love the story of Final Fantasy X. I absolutely loved the story. Just starting off with Tidus, and this is probably because I've had my own personal Tidus.
We're not gonna do this now.
Tidus. I'm telling the story, so his name's Tidus.
Whatever.
Once again, the reason why I probably related with this character so much is probably because I have my own personal father issues, especially even going through it at the time. Just seeing how Tidus wanted to kind of be his own man, and so many people kept on saying his father was a great man, and he's like, man, me and you knew two different people.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, like
I mean, shout out to Jet, because me personally, like I loved him, but I understand that he wasn't the greatest either.
Did you love him after Dissidia or even during the game?
Probably after Dissidia.
Exactly. So during the game, you ain't like him. During the game, he didn't really get a lot of spot time. So even, Final Fantasy is about Tidus. Kind of, you start off in Xanarkand. This is like 1,000 years before like the current time. You meet Yuna, a group of other people, and you learn that your goal is to defeat this entity called Sin. Sin is
the makeup of all evil, all despair.
Yeah, yes and no, really. There's really no great way to call Sin except for just the Great Destroyer.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay, so the greatness of all evil and despair is perfect for this man if he's destroyer.
Yeah.
Don't tell me no.
The being of destruction. That's all he does is come in and lay waste and kill everybody.
If you want to look up just an example of what Sin did, look up the Sin and Besaid, or Sin Besaid scene. Besaid, look that up, because what happens is you see a monster just destroy a village with, honestly, he didn't even try. All he did was just show up and just destroyed everything, to be honest. Everything else was just kind of his aura just destroying everything, wasn't it? Because like you always see Sin just like you see a fin and just popping out of the water. He's like this water creature for the most part, and you just see a fin popping out. He looks
like a giant whale.
Really does. But when he actually wants to come out of the water and start being active, he has a whole laser blast and all this. But for Besaid, was it Besaid? No, it wasn't Besaid. It wasn't Besaid. It was what is the Kilika?
Kilika? Yeah, it was Kilika.
It was Kilika, sorry. So look up Sin at Kilika, and dude just shows up to the village and just wrecks it. Not even trying.
There's a lot of different parts where he really goes ham. Like I said, the only thing that can destroy Sin is these people called summoners. And summoners and their guardians have to go and fight Sin. They go around collecting different summons or aeons, and they all go and fight Sin. They all go on this pilgrimage, I should say.
Right.
Collect the summons, and after they get the final summon, they go and fight Sin. And the cycle repeats itself every 10 years. Sin comes back, a new summoner comes along, and the cycle keeps going. So during this time, Tidus meets the other probably MC Yuna, main character. And this is where kind of story kind of develops. You see, Yuna's father, Lord Braska.
I thought it is Braska. I was going to say Jisco, but no, Jisco's one of the priests or whatever.
Yeah. So Yuna's father, Lord Braska, also had a guardian, which was Jet, which was Tidus's father. And this is where they start seeing like she's like, oh, so you're just a guardian to me, just like your father was to mine. And like I said,
Titus is like, I'm not trying to hear none of that.
He's like, yo, I'm not trying to be not like my father, so this is not how you really want to pitch me this type of stuff. But going along, they develop a relationship, and this is like one of the first big, great romantic relationships I've ever seen, probably on TV, video games, anime, ever. Is this right here? And one of the parts I'm really talking about is during this scene right before they go into the Calmlands, and they go into this lake, and they have like this kissing moment. And this moment like it's actually on the cover of the video game.
Yeah, Makalania Woods. That's what it was.
Oh yeah, it wasn't a Makalania. Was it at the Makalania Lake?
Yeah.
Yeah. And like they just was kind of going back and forth, talking about different things, and they just finally kiss and float in the water. And for some reason, these people can breathe in the water. Don't question me.
I don't think it's breathing on the water as much as it's holding their breath for very large amounts of time. Being as like in Blitzball, you know how they have their HP gauge and all that. I think that's just like their timer for breath.
I don't know. We're not gonna get into the whole logistics of that,
because that's an episode in its own.
It's just weird. Like I said, this right here is kind of what set up partially an emotional high for me. And then towards the end of the game, you actually find out that Tidus is dead and he's just a spirit.
Oh, that was
from biggest 1,000 years ago.
That was the biggest ball drop. And you find out before them, don't you? Like, before the group, because mind you, he gets attached to every single individual person in this group of, like, all guardians and one summoner. And it's like, oh, like, you find out, and it's all like, oh, no. No, you're dead. It is just...
Yep, you learn that you're a dream, really. A dream that the Aeons that Yuna kind of goes along collecting around. You're just a dream of them. And basically what the Aeons want is for you to stop them from dreaming. They want you to really find a way to defeat sin once and for all. And this is where, like, your true mission kind of comes to light. You go from one to just defeat sin, to reset the cycle for 10 years, and to find a way to truly kind of defeat them.
And oh my god, I'm just thinking back on that. Like when you first find out, you kind of like go to like I want to say a grave of people, but it was like that wall full of like far plane spirits.
Oh yeah, right before you hit Xanarkin,
dude, and then like you find out right there, and you just had to figure out like how's he gonna break the news to him.
Yeah, and he does take a while to kind of say or do it, but just to kind of skip towards the ending. When the group really kind of understands how Tidus is, leaving them.
How he's gonna depart for them. How he's gonna, I'm dead.
Yeah, like he's dead. He's a dream. He's from 1,000 years ago. And just the heartfelt goodbye made me collapse as a kid crying. Mom came in the room and was like, oh my God, what's wrong? I'm like, yo, the ending to my favorite game of all time made me cry. This was like at 2 a.m. I finally finished this dang game that I've had to restart so many times because I kept on losing memory cards. This was on PlayStation 2. And like right when I finally beat this game, I had to start crying. Just seeing how Tidus is like departing from the group, how Yuna is crying, how Yuna runs to try to get one final hug and slips through his form.
Oh my God, that was hard. I've actually seen YouTubers react to that, and they all just start bawling at that point.
Exactly, and it just hurts. It hurts. It just pulls on so many strings inside your heart, and I'm just like, man, I cried. I do not care.
Okay, so
I cried.
People say that the whole Final Fantasy VII on that situation, on how that was the saddest moment. They say how Final Fantasy VI was the saddest moment. Yo, the Final Fantasy X ending, call me biased, but Jesus, that hurt, dude. They're on the airship and he just kind of like takes that final dive off the airship, basically back into heaven, and it was just so, oh my god.
It really was. And so, personally, like that was it for me, man. Like, I'll just end it there. That it was that.
And I agree with them. Like, if you're talking about an emotional roller coaster, like that you have to play through, it is intense and it is heartfelt. And shout out to Titus.
Titus.
I don't care what you say his name is Titus.
Titus. Titus.
Titus, rest in peace, bro. But
came back at 10-2 though. Really weird.
Don't ruin it. So, if I'm gonna pick up from here, I'm gonna say the Ancient Magus Bride.
So I'm not gonna lie, one of my top 10 animes that don't require a lot of action. It's more story driven than anything.
So, and I'm gonna try to barrel through this one quickly. Actually, the Ancient Magus Bride was mainly revolved around the main character, Shisei Hattori. Yeah, I think I got that one. I'm proud of myself. She is actually being auctioned, and help me out with this, Mary, on this one. She's being auctioned off
at the start of the anime. She's being auctioned off, and this is where you see the Megas kind of come in and try to buy her because only he really knows what she is.
And the Magus is like, it's another word for mage or wizard or whatever you would like to call it.
Yes.
And this Magus's name is Elias Ainsworth. Yeah.
Elias. I actually really like the name Elias.
Elias is pretty cool. He kind of like KV said, he really knew what she was to begin with. So he takes her from this option and basically, first of all, starts treating her like a person. He kind of like takes
for
her
so long, like she was kind of just treated as, I don't know, an animal in a cage.
And he takes her up, gets her cleaned up, kind of introduces her. Mind you,
Elias.
Elias is he's basically rich. He's basically like just a wealthy billionaire playboy philanthropist or whatever.
No, you're describing Batman. Like, first off, you're describing Batman. We're not gonna go that far.
I'm describing Iron Man. Tony Stark is the original one.
And so he's not like that. He's more of, I think he just had enough money to buy that because, like, he does odd jobs and all this other type of stuff. Mm-hmm. But he is very reclusive in a house. He's not the playboy. He's not like he's whining down a whole bunch of women. He's really just this Magus who stays to himself in a little cottage.
He handles his own business in his own magical world wherever he gets, because a lot of people know him, like in the magical world that he lives in. Everybody knows, oh, you're Elias, okay, we got you. Like, and he kind of takes he kind of takes her and basically he starts to mold her to basically replace him.
He starts teaching her a lot of things, but I think one of the bigger parts and points you might be missing is he eventually proposes to her,
right?
And so this is where
she went from slave girl to his potential wife,
to bride, really. And this is where you get the title Ancient Magus Bride.
Mm-hmm.
And so from there, this story once again is very character driven, and it's really almost like the daily life of these two, and the small adventures of them getting to know the world, to know different other characters in the community. They're going on little sidetrack missions to either gather materials or slowly finding out more about the two characters.
Mm-hmm.
This story was very beautifully drawn. So the world was beautifully drawn. The characters were really well fleshed out, in my personal opinion. It had very good pacing because even towards the overall conflict of things building up in the background, and when they kind of came to a head, and the Elias fighting the one who cannot be killed, I forgot his name.
All right.
It was really, everything was really, really well done. Like, I definitely give this anime, definitely, if not on par, right below one of my other favorite animes, Mushishi, in that genre, where it's not about the action, it's about the characters, and it's about just life.
Yeah. And honestly, KV just wrapped it up for me right there, because Magus Bride, from when I first saw it, It might not capture you in the first episode, so you might have to play the 3, maybe even 5 episode rule with this.
Definitely might. No, you definitely will, because it's a slow play on getting to know the characters. You know, you definitely have a lot of intrigue. You definitely start going into like Elias's history. You know, you learn more things about him. You know, you see him in his monster form. You see him in his good days, and you see him in his bad days.
That's right. I totally forgot about that.
You start learning more about his bride, what she really is to the magical creatures in the community. You start seeing more of her background, how she was with her parents and everything, how she became a slave, or just an animal in a cage for so long. It even towards her possible death towards the end of the series too. And just everything in between. You see them both, fighting insecurities. You see them both fighting personal conflicts, doubts, and everything. And like I said, this is what really, really made me love the anime, in such a sense that, like, not every anime has to be full of action and all this other complicated type of stuff. It's really just about the characters and themselves.
It was the characters, it was the story, it was the art design. And mind you, this is a beautifully done. It was actually
beautiful.
The first time we heard about this, we were going to go see a movie. We were going to see the movie Verilion in one of the Harkins theaters, and we saw the commercial for it in the theaters.
Oh my God, you're right.
They were playing it in the theaters. We were supposed to watch it there, but unfortunately we didn't get to.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That was, what was that, back in
2018?
2018, 2 years ago. Wow.
Yeah,
I remember we were watching Verilion. Decent movie.
I love the movie. Apparently, it did terrible in the box office. I thought it was awesome.
It definitely has some bad points.
I can see, like, of course, I'm willing to
Cinnamon
ready
Sins,
to debate.
guys. Cinnamon Sins. Go on YouTube, look up Cinnamon Sins, Verilion, and just seeing it.
Awesome channel. Shout out to Cinnamon Sins. They're everything deserves a sin, yo. That's what their motto is.
And what's crazy is, if you guys ever watch that, you will never watch movies the same twice.
You won't.
Because ever since then, I really can't watch movies the same way. But to go too far from the point, The Ancient Magus Bride is definitely a worthy anime that anybody should check out.
Most definitely. I give that a solid 8.5 to 9 out of 10.
Okay. I'm definitely with a 9 out of 10 for it.
Okay.
And I would kind of maybe end it on one more personally. And this one right here, I tried to show my girlfriend. And, she's very still slowly trying to get into anime. When it's my turn now to watch TV, that's the only time she'll probably try to sit down and try to watch it. This is how I kind of got her into Haikyuu, the volleyball one. How I got her into Fire Force. How I got her into Inuyasha. How I got her into Violet Garden. Definitely probably another honorable mention on here. I probably won't delve too much into that one. She definitely really likes it. And I'm really surprised she really didn't like this one. And it's probably because, my girl, she wears glasses, and so it's a little difficult for her to read along. I don't know if there is a dub version for it, but a silent voice. And if you guys ever seen a silent voice, it's really centered around these high school kids and their relationships.
Sorry, the gears just sorry, I gave KV a weird face because the gears started turning and I realized which movie this was. This was the one with the deaf girl, right?
Yes. And so the show really kind of starts off as, well, let's go about 10 minutes into it. You see these kids in a classroom, and these kids are like, what?
Elementary schoolers. Yeah,
we'll go with elementary schoolers. And this girl walks to the classroom. They get a new student. Girl walks in, and then she starts writing on the piece of paper saying, who she is. She explains to all the other kids she's deaf. A few days kind of go by.
Off the rip, so sad. Off the rip, so sad.
Not really. Not really. You tend to understand these things. A few episodes in, you start seeing one of the other little boys start picking on this little girl. You eventually find out that this boy is the MC of the anime. He kind of starts picking on her, doing little things. Him and the other little kids kind of slowly start picking on her too. And one day she just ups and disappears. A few years later, towards their high school years, he kind of spots her again, and and as he's reflecting on his life and everything that he's done, he feels totally horrible about it.
That was some elementary school stuff, yo.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah, it's almost like 5 to 7 years in the future. Like I say, he's definitely feeling horrible about it, and he tries to learn sign language to kind of apologize, but the girl doesn't even feel that bad for him. I should kind of start saying the characters' names. So the girl's name is Shoku Nishimiya, and the main character boy is Shoya Ishida.
Nice, very nice.
And so during this time when Shoya is trying to apologize to Shoku's little sister Yuzuru Nishimiya tries to kind of block it, but he's persistent. He keeps trying to come back and finding her, and he's really trying to. Hey, I'm really sorry for how I acted as a kid in bullying you. It wasn't right. And even at the beginning of this, you guys still, it starts, kind of pulling at you on, seeing this little deaf girl really being bullied by the kids who don't really understand. You see kids just being kids, but it still kind of hurts.
Right.
And from there, you see this anime kind of play off of him kind of going through this redemption phase. You start seeing him meet up with other kids from back in the day, and everybody kind of wanting to join the little group on trying to find some redemption in some type of ways on how to say they're really sorry for picking on this girl.
Right.
And you also see this girl kind of going through her own problems of self-doubt, and maybe even self-loathing that that she's a burden and a problem to everybody around her. And to kind of fast forward this really, so kind of towards the end, the little girl Shoku just decides I'm a burden to everybody, and so the best way I could,
she goes with the whole suicide route.
Yeah, she goes to the whole suicide route.
That suicide is played out thing. If you're going through suicidal problems, do seek help.
Please do seek help. It's not true. You're going through a lot, and you don't. And then it's really a lot of people not understanding how to deal with their problems.
There's always a better way. There's always somebody to talk to.
Always. This is definitely what Shoku was thinking. She just seen herself as a burden to everybody around her, and so she goes home. And luckily, Shoya had to go back to the house for Yuzuru's camera, because I guess they were at a fireworks festival, and Yuzuru was like, "Oh my god, I forgot my camera," and Shoya was like, "Don't worry about it. I'll go run back to the house and go grab it." And he just happens to walk in the house and see Shoku on the balcony, and he's screaming at her, Shoku, no, don't do it. I'm thinking in my head, she's deaf, go grab her. Dude, shut up and just go grab her. And he barely makes it. He's barely holding on to her. Luckily, he grabs her, picks her up, put her on the balcony, but he himself actually falls.
Oh, dang.
And so, it's a blank screen for about a good 10 seconds, and you're just like...
Yo, this is how this turns out?
This is how this ends? Wow. Luckily, this dude is only with a couple broken bones and everything, and you see Shoku's mom really apologize, vehemently for, putting Shoya in that... for her daughter, putting Shoya in that situation and everything. You really start seeing everybody kind of come to understand, because there's a lot during this time where Shoya kind of goes to Shoku's mom and apologizes for being a bully to Shoku when they were kids, and the mom at first was like, dude, screw her off, you were really being mean to my daughter as a kid. Yeah, and like I said, just how tables has turned, how how he kind of kept on reading, appearing, like I said, trying to find that redemption, him and the other kind of classmates as well. And just to kind of say how the anime ends, he luckily does kind of recover in a way. Like I say, he did fall off of a 3-story building, and luckily he survived. Like I say, but with a lot of broken bones and everything. But he does find that redemption. He does. I don't want to say they become in a relationship or anything, but they do become close friends. Along the way, he does meet up with some of his old friends. He does meet some new friends. Like I said, they create this new kind of niche group. and they're all together. And so, what I really want to say about the silent voice is to once again not be anime based off of all this action and all this other crazy type of stuff, but just to be about high schoolers and really everyday life of, and especially of a high schooler trying to find redemption for being a jerk as a kid. And like I said, even as a kid, like you don't really know any better. And for him to kind of really kind of come back and still feel bad like 5-7 years later and want to really apologize for how he was really like pulled at you. And like I said, and all this time you're definitely going through the emotional pain of everybody's self-doubt, of everybody's self-loathing during this time, of during this anime. But it really does create some good high moments of forgiveness and everything, and it was just a beautifully done anime across the board.
Applause. Clap for this anime because it was dope. It was something that, and I think I watched this just by like off of a whim because I didn't really mean to click on it or anything. But when I watched it, it was
actually, it was a recommendation. We both seen it at the same time.
Really?
Yeah, it was a recommendation from our cousin Timmy. Oh. It was a silent voice and Your Name.
That's right. I have not seen Your Name yet, and don't chew my head off for it because I know how great it is.
You have seen it.
I have not. I have not. I promise you I haven't. I promise you I have it.
Oh my
I understand what the concept is. I understand what's going on. I have not seen it though.
Gosh, I could do a whole nother one on Your Name as well. Like that anime once again too, just definitely.
Okay, but you're done with that one?
That's my last one.
Okay. I'm gonna get my last one and we're kind of tipping over to the hour point, so I'm gonna try to make this one quick, and honestly it will be because it was only like an hour, not even, type of movie. It is The Garden of Words. If you've ever seen The Garden of Words,
been meaning to see this. It
is very interesting without saying too much. And first of all, that art style that they went with, it's not like a 3D type of anime, but I would say it's the same type of anime style that Your Name and what was it called? Your Name and
A Silent Voice.
A Silent Voice. Jesus, it's like that same art style. You can even find it on YouTube. Like I said, it's the whole film. It's about 45 minutes. Go ahead if you got 45 minutes to spare. It is a interestingly done anime. It kind of just takes it. Our only two main characters in here, and our only two characters that you'll really have to pay attention to are Akizuki. Oh Jesus,
Spit it out.
Akizuki. Our main character.
Just watching it today.
I know. Our main character is Akizuki and Yoko Neo. Yoko Ino. Sorry, Japanese words are hard for me. Our main characters are, yeah. So, Akazuki is, a normal high school student. He ends up kind of skipping class one day just to go hang out at this park. It's a Japanese garden type of style park, and he sees a lady there, and she's just minding her own business. He minds his own business. They kind of like, have I seen you before? And they're like, nah, we haven't seen each other before. But the next day goes on, and they would only see each other on these rainy days because they eventually kind of like converse with each other, and it's like, yeah, I only come to this park when it's raining. And they kind of go back and forth, kind of talk to each other as time goes on. You start to see like, it's how you would develop any relationship when you're talking to somebody normally, casually. And what's weird is they never asked each other what their names were. They never asked what their life was. They just know, oh, this person comes here when they want to just get some time to themselves. And, Akaino is a bit of a drinker. She's an older lady. She's 27. Akizuki is, 15 years old. He's still in high school.
12-year difference.
Yep. They kind of just go through this, I guess you could call it a relationship, and it goes into July. So July, it stops raining. That's summer. So she kind of like stops seeing him for a while, and she's just kind of like, well, I guess I'm gonna go back home. And you realize that she's very depressed. She's kind of like at this point of life where she doesn't know where to go. She has an ex-boyfriend, but he's just kind of like, okay. Like, I understand what you're going through, which is I'm not there with you right now.
Mm-hmm.
And Akizuki. These names are gonna be the death of me. Akizuki is he's just trying to actually just find his own path in life, I guess. He's a high school student, but he wants to be a cobbler.
A shoemaker.
Yeah, okay. I'm glad you know what a cobbler was.
There's an old film back from we were kids called A Cobbler and something.
The Cobbler and the Princess.
Cobbler and the
Princess and the Cobbler.
Yeah,
the Princess and the Cobbler.
If you guys never seen it, it's a great American film back from like the 90s. Go see it.
I think it might be the 80s. Like that thing is
I will
old.
look it up real quick.
That thing is old, but yeah, he's a cobbler. Cobbler is a shoemaker, and but he calls himself a shoe designer in the anime. As their relationship kind of develops, at one point she's all like, "I see you're trying to do a new design," and he's like, "Yeah, but I'm stuck and I can't really find anything."
So real quick, just to interrupt a little bit, it's called The Thief and the Cobbler.
Oh, The Thief and the Cobbler.
Made in 1995?
Really?
Release date August 25th, 1995. The year you were born, little bro. So it came out before you were born.
Yeesh, that movie's older than me. But it's a very fun little movie. That is. You could watch it. You can watch that with your kids or anything like that because it's so for its time very beautifully drawn.
It was well done.
But back to this. She ends up like helping him out with his design. She kind of gives like her foot is the blueprint to his whole new design of the shoe that he wants to make. But like I said, as time goes on, summer comes around and they stop seeing each other. So she kind of gets back to that depressed state, and long behold, he's in class one day and he's walking by in the hallway, and they both really noticed each other. But his friend, he was walking with his friend, one girl, one dude, and she goes, Miss Yukino, like, what's happening? And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, because a bunch of girls started crowding around her. She's like, what's happening? She's like, I'm sorry. I'm quitting as of today. You won't be able to see me, but it's okay. I want you girls to do best and such and this and that and the other. And, our main character, Ikizuki, kind of like, he doesn't really dig around as much as he's hearing rumors after rumors, and he's heard a girl, one of the students, kind of saw Yukino going to a park, and she kind of like put two and two together. She was going to go see a boy from the school. Long behold, that was Akizuki, but they weren't doing anything. Of course, they were just enjoying each other's company, if anything.
Yeah, just regularly seeing each other.
Right, and they didn't. And the crazy part is, they didn't even plan it like that. They just said, "Oh, you come here on the rainy days too to enjoy the rain? Cool, I do that too." But them being the school, being as no student teacher relationships, they immediately fired her. Akizuki was understandably irate, and he kind of got into a fight after this, and he pretty much lost. He goes to the park again. Yukino sees him. She sees him all tattered, bruised up, and she invites him back to her place, and they're just once again enjoying each other's company. But she's starting to put two and two together and realizing, like, yo, me being around you kind of got you in this position, and it got you fired. So here's the thing. Look, we don't need to be together. He doesn't really like put it out like that, but he's just like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna go. I'm starting to realize I don't really care for our relationship. And he says, like, eventually he's like, I hate you. I don't really care for you. And she doesn't believe him, and because she realizes, like, you're just trying to push me away, and he really was. And then by the end of it, they're in the middle of the ring, just pretty much almost confessing their love to each other. But they get into a good hug and a good embrace, and they just realize, like,
did they kiss?
They did not. That's why I'm saying, like, it's.
I mean, you could definitely see the possible problem with that. A 27-year-old kissing a 50-year-old for the United States.
Yeah, I was going to say,
there's been a lot of teachers having those sort of problems and everything. But in the Japanese culture, I'm not sure how that would really go.
Honestly, they don't. Their limit on age is like, it goes to like 14, I think. Like, they don't.
Really?
Yeah, they don't. and that goes back to like them following tradition. They would marry off like a female child, or a female daughter to like to the emperor just to secure the bloodline going down the future. But
yeah, like family lineage and all this other type of stuff. You know,
right.
you gotta marry somebody with good stock or whatever.
Right. And that's where they kind of go with it and such. So they didn't really, as far as her being 27, him being 15, they didn't really they didn't crack down on it. But as far as them being student and teacher, that was a big no. But they embraced towards the end. They kind of reconcile with each other. He's continuing his shoe design. He actually finished his shoe, and he goes back to the park. She wasn't there, but she wrote him a letter saying, thank you, like, I know I made my letter long, this and that and the other. You don't read the whole letter, but she's all like, I hope you're doing well, I hope to see you again, and sincerely, Yukino. And he leaves the shoes on the bench for her to pick up.
Not the ending I thought what would happen. Not for real? Like, that's it?
That's it.
After all of that, after like this embracing the rain and everything else, the only thing you get is a letter, my guy?
Maybe one day down the future they'll secure their relationship together, but for now it is what it is.
I'm a little disappointed.
I'm a
little disappointed. Like, after all that, you really only get a letter.
It was so good because it was so
lies.
Like,
there was nothing good if you only got a letter in the end. There was nothing good
He's
about
15,
anything.
dang it. He's 15.
I'm still disappointed.
It was so good because their relationship was just so strong and they didn't even know each other's name for the most part.
Lies.
Yep. Listen here, you. It doesn't need to be a romantic, like, epic passion of love and lust just for it to be good, okay?
It does.
No, it doesn't.
I'm disappointed.
Whatever. Don't listen to KV. The Garden of Words is a nice short, I would say a short film, to be honest, and it's so decently just art beautifully. The music was awesome. Oh, it was honestly the art itself. If you don't want to see it for nothing else, just look at that art style. I don't know who's the art designer, who's the creator, but yo, hats off to you because you are killing it. But yeah, that was my list. I mean, I had another one, but I knew I was kind of like going in a long direction. But my other one was just God of War. And as far as that, if I'm gonna like just compare it to anything, I'm gonna compare it to the Joel and Ellie situation, as a father talking to his son, then his son losing the mother, and we all know God of War. If you play God of War, Kratos is trying to be Dad of the Year, and it's not working, but he's trying.
He wasn't trying to be Dad of the Year. He was definitely in a situation he wasn't prepared for, and he went from not caring to
kind of
fumbling. No, from fumbling to trying to do his best.
Yeah,
and so he's
trying to be a dad
with a C minus.
I was gonna say he's trying to be a dad, like
he passed
a
with
dude
a
dude who's never expected to be an actual father. I mean, he's had a child before, but having a new child and him having to be that father figure, he did not know how to do it. Like, even if it's just just put my hand on my son's shoulder just to know that everything's gonna be okay. He didn't even know how to do that. He stuttered on it.
I mean, yeah. Once again, remember his dad tried to kill him, just like how his dad before him tried to kill him.
That is also fair.
Which will be kind of even crazier if one day Atreus kind of grows up to kill him. I'm like, wow, this family cycle runs deep.
That's what he was mainly scared about, right? He didn't want to kill Kratos. Like, he's like, am I gonna have to kill you one day too?
I don't remember that part, but something like that.
Yeah. But
also, real quick, 2 more mentionable shout outs. My other one was Violent Garden, just because my girl was really into it. I'm really curious to see how that's gonna end. Mm-hmm. Very beautifully drawn and everything. It's definitely kind of draws you in at the beginning. My also other one for the both of us, little brother, from Pokemon 2000. Pokemon 2000 movie with Mew and Mewtwo had my mother's 3 kids in the car crying when Ash was turned into the stone. And for some reason, I just remembered that at the last moment. I just wanted to share that with you guys.
Pause. It's not Pokemon 2000. It's just Pokemon the movie. Pokemon 2000 is with Entei.
Oh wow! Shout out to that was a good movie too.
Right, but no, if you know Pokemon the movie, Pikachu,
Yo,
Pikachu,
that whole movie once, and we're not gonna dive too far into it.
You
but
saw animals crying for Ash.
Yeah, once Ash got turned to stone and Pikachu tried to keep electrocuting him, trying to bring him back, like it was heart wrenching and felt.
Emotions are flooding that I was not prepared for. I know he did the Whirlwind, but he brought in a banger, and it's just like, oh my God. I'm just realizing that whole scene right now. Why were they all crying for? Oh my God.
I can see some small tears in my brother's eyes right now.
That was sad.
He's the emotional one. I'm not.
It was sad.
Oh my gosh.
It was so sad.
But all right, guys, that's that for right there.
Whirlwind of emotions, and I felt them all at the end.
Whirlwind of emotions. And
so
and at that notice, there's nothing to school you guys on or to teach you guys about today. We got nothing to teach you guys. No recommendations for this week, guys. We're gonna kind of switch that up a little bit. We're gonna give you guys one every other week. To give you guys a chance to kind of catch up and maybe give us some feedback and stuff about it to let us know how our recommendations are doing. From here, little brother, any closing arguments or anything?
No, not really that much. If you got some, maybe, of course, we probably missed something that made you cry. Please let us know, because that if it's anything like the Ash one, I'm gonna be a bawling baby.
So if you guys have any questions, comments, let us know.
Hit us up on the iTunes app and Apple Podcasts. Give us those 5 stars. That 5-star rating will help us tremendously.
It really, really will. Like I said, leave questions, comments, concerns, or anything. Also, hit us up at our website.
See, he's crying. It's too much emotion.
Oh my gosh, I can't even speak right now. Hit us up at www.mavreaks.com. That's MAVREAKS.com. That is our website, guys, where you can, check us out. You can see pictures of us. If you guys want to contact us directly, hit us up at mavreaks@gmail.com. That is MAVREAKS@gmail.com.
Or you can hit us up at bbemav2020@gmail.com. That's BBEMAV2020@gmail.com, people.
All right, guys. So thank you guys for another wonderful episode of the M.A.V. show.
I think I cried in this one, yo.
I think you did a little bit. I see your eyes just tearing up over there.
I'm gonna need a tissue after this. Ash, no.
Send some tissues in for my little brother, y'all. Send some tissues in.
I'll accept them. I'll accept them all. I'll accept them all, and thank every single one of you for sending them.
All right, guys. Please be safe out there during this pandemic. We will see you guys next week.
Peace.